Welcome to Van Tate's Sports Office, an in-depth look at the world of sports, featuring exclusive interviews with our KRQE News Sports Director, Van Tate, sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook at Route 66 Casino.
We are talking about basketball in the sports office today, women's basketball. UNM head coach Mike Bradbury, kind enough to come and sit down with us. And coach, man, we finally got you in here. You know, like this is we're making history now. We got you to the station and everything, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
You know, like you've been around for a while now. What 2016 was your first year, right?
Yes, 9 years.
So in that time period, you know, the game has changed and everything around the game. Would you agree to that? Like, it's crazy how much change there's been in those 9 years, especially when we're talking about like even like NIL, all this stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, even in the last 3 to 4 years, there's been drastic change as far as NIL, rev share, all of that. That's just been the last 3 or 4. And then in the 3 or 4 prior to that, you had rule changes. You also had cost of attendance come in. You had Austin money come in. So there's been constant change in eligibility rules, things like that.
How you been rolling with that, man?
You know, it's it's one of those, you adapt or die. So you know, and you just keep adjusting, and you know, and you got to be really flexible on how you're trying to run your program or even build your roster. You know, things have shifted from, you know, build your roster from a long-term plan. You know, from a 4-year plan, 5-year plan, when you first get the job. You know, so 9 years ago, I could have a 3, 4, 5-year plan. Yeah. Okay, well, that's no more. You better have a 2-year plan.
It's more instant than anything.
Yeah, you better get it done.
And so with that said, how are you liking how your roster is shaping up for the upcoming season? Yeah,
excited. This is excited as I've been in a long time. Our talent level will be up. Our size will be up. You know, we're going to have a real chance to compete at the top. And we've been doing that, but it's been, you know, we've been second, third, second, you know, has been where we finished. But there's been a little gap, or a bigger gap between us and UNLV. I think that's going to close this year, and I think we got a real shot.
Well, you know, I was looking at some of the names. The Kasha Antonio, she seems like – I was looking at all her accolades. I said, what did she win? Like, she's got a list. It's like she did everything. I mean, she may have gotten an award for driving the team bus for all I know, you know. Like.
She's a big-time player. We're happy to get her. And it was, you know, 2 top 15 teams in the country she made visits to, and then another P4. So that was a big one for us to get. And I think a commitment from our administration to women's basketball made a huge difference in that.
It wasn't you taking her and saying, like, look at those mountains. I'm in.
And she's from Angola. I don't know how impressed she was going to be with the
that's right with the scenery
Albuquerque
here.
Terrain. So, but she was very interested in our program and playing in front of the best fans in the country, especially the ones we have for women's basketball.
How much does that help you? You know, like because you go to some of these other games, and I know it's always been like that as far as since. When Flanagan started here, like the support for women's basketball, the fans show up, and I'm sure the women see that when they want to sign for a place to go.
Absolutely. That's our biggest sell to recruits is you're going to play in front of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 fans every night. And I think we were 14th or 16th, something like that, top 20 in the country in attendance this year. That, you know, that's a big deal, especially in women's basketball because, you know, quite frankly, not many people do what we do as far as attendance.
And when they do come here, do you ever have to have them adjust to, like, the crowd? Because I remember when Alfred was coaching the guys, and he was talking about how the Pitt crowd could be even intimidating to the players because they're so in locked in, and you got, you know, all that support like that. Do you?
Yeah, I think it works both ways. I know early in the year, like, you know, we had a lot of new players, like 10 new kids last year, and we tried to get them in extended minutes, like in the exhibition games, just to try and get rid of some of that. You know, some of the nerves, some of the looking around, and, you know, you got to look on the court here. You know, we try to get some of that out of the way. It is, and it's a little distracting. And people don't understand, I think, yes, it's an advantage at times for us, okay? Yeah. But you got to remember, in our league, we draw more than just about the other 10 teams combined, right? Okay? So we are the biggest game. They get more excited to come play in the pit than anywhere else. So we're taking everybody's best shot.
Right.
Whether we're the best team in the league or not good. Yeah. We're still taking their best shot because it's the only chance all year they're going to get to play in front of a crowd, regardless if they're against them.
Right.
You know, it's still fun. And, you know, we try to play road games at like Oklahoma, Arizona, Texas Tech, so we get that feeling of playing in front of that many people that are against us.
Right.
And Van, I'll tell you, it's just as motivating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got that big crowd. You're like, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, now they're, you know, we like it when they're on our side, but it's not bad when you can go play well when they all hate you too.
Yeah, because you feel like the whole world is against you.
Yeah, you can
get together.
Play on that.
The conversation is just getting started. We have more on the other side.
With that said, I know we talked a little bit about the roster, about the new faces, but who do you have coming back, and how is that going to all fit together?
We kept our core group together. You know, we graduated VNA Cumber.
Right. I remember,
okay.
Yeah.
Great local player. Great kid. We graduated her, but we were able to keep everyone else.
Oh wow.
You know, and that's hard nowadays. To be able to retain your core, because that's, you know, your better players. So we were able to do that, and that was a good thing. So we're looking forward to meshing in the new kids with those guys. But, you know, we returned Destiny Hooks, 30 minutes a game. Alyssa Hargrove played a lot. And then Joanna Magalai, she was on the all-freshman team. Played 30 minutes a game. Yes, she is. Yes, she got a lot of fight in her. You know, and then even key bench players, Niley, Drew, you know, those guys are all back. So it was really nice to be able to bring back that core group. And now we've got some really big-time recruits coming in, and now you mix that together, and that's why we're really excited.
Man, Destiny, there's times last year where she made it look so easy. Her form and her jump shot, you know, like I was just being like, man, who is this? What? You know, it's almost like she might not even realize how good she can be.
I think that's the best way to put it. Destiny is very, very talented. And I think as she matures and grows a little bit, you know, if basketball becomes the most important thing to her, she has an extremely high ceiling.
Right. It looks like it.
Yeah.
And then some of the, you know, like just some of the instinctual plays that she makes, and you're just like going like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. She knows her instincts are very good, and her natural talent is off the charts.
And you know, you were able to keep that core group together, and in the age of NIL, how much of a lift was all of that? Because it's crazy how things are nowadays. You know, like especially schools like New Mexico, you know, like you have all these power forwards coming in like, hey, don't you want to come here? And just like vultures. You know?
Right. You know, this year was great. And again, we had a strong commitment from administration, you know, that it helped us retain all of those people. And one I forgot to mention was probably our best player that didn't get to play, Clarissa Craig. She'll be back next year. She didn't play this past year. And
oh, that's right.
And she probably would have been our best player. So now we get her back and to add to this group. So we're excited. But again, I give a lot of credit to Fern and Amy Beggin.
So you over there like a mad scientist. Let the season begin.
Yeah, you know, I'm as excited as I've been in a long time.
When you look at the league, like the Mountain West, where do you see the challenges this upcoming season?
Yeah, last year our league was ranked 7th in the country, and it's the highest it's been since I've been here. Yeah. And I expect us to be, you know, up in that same range again this year. So the league's good. You know, UNLV I will be good, obviously, will be good, Wyoming and Colorado State. And it's been that group for all 9 years I've been here. So I expect it to be really good, but I do think that the gap has closed with UNLV, with all of us, really.
And when you say that the gap has closed, do you it probably means that you guys are going to even be getting everybody's top shot. Like everybody's going to give you their best, and they're probably going to intensify that because of what they see you guys present.
Yeah, I think so. I think that same group's been up there for a while now, so it's challenging. But if you're going to continue to win, at this pace, then that's what you expect and that's what you want.
What do we not know about Mike Bradbury? Like, are you like at home, like gardening and playing your guitar? What do we not know about Mike Bradbury?
I'm at home. I'll tell you that. I'm at home, not gardening. I do cut the grass and things like that. Take the trash out.
Are you the grumpy cut the grass guy? Like you see the guy with his lawnmower. Hey, what are you looking at? Or you just go out there and get it done.
I'm not. I like being outside. I like to play golf, but I'm at home. We starting about a couple weeks ago, like we'll grill out about every night. Things like that. Now. I don't know. Am I grumpy or whatever? You would have to ask the other three that live in my house. For that.
Well, you just brought up the grill, man. Are you that guy? Like the guy that we see on the cookout. Like he's got all the skills and everybody's coming up to him.
I don't know that I'm that guy. We can get it done, and it's edible.
What is that?
Nike's had it. I know she's not in the shot. Nike's had it. You can ask her when we get done.
Do you put do you marinate the meat or what do you do?
My wife does all of that, and then it's ready to go, and then I cook it to however you would like it.
Okay, so you taking requests, huh?
Yeah.
All right, man. You know what? I'm gonna have to drive by Coach Bradbury's house.
There you go.
Come get a burger or something, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so do you try to keep it fun for like the kids? Like, everybody always talk about your basketball team or your football team, any team being a family. What are some of the things that you like to do to keep everybody in that tight knit?
Yeah, and again, it's a little tricky as you brought up earlier. Was sometimes you don't get to keep your team together for multiple years. Yeah. So that's the easiest way to do it. You keep them together. But, last year, just because of the way the schedule went, we were at home for Thanksgiving, so we did Thanksgiving at my house. This spring, we instead of doing conditioning a couple of days, we played wiffle ball. Yeah. Things like that. Our kids, we like it, but our kids hang out, like, in the office a lot. Today especially, and you brought Destiny up. She spent quite some time in there today, which is great. And just little things like that. I think the more things you can do that aren't scheduled,
right,
it makes it better. If it's just casual conversation,
right,
it's way better.
Stay with us. More conversation on the other side.
We'll get back to the episode in a moment. Monica Wicki here, host of New Mexico Living. I wanted to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Route 66 Casino and Caesars Sportsbook. If you love sports and like having a little action on the game, Caesars Sportsbook is your go-to destination. For rewards and more info, go to route66casino.com. Now back to the episode.
You gave me a thought when you said the word schedule. Your schedule, how's that coming along? And are you always seem like you always bring like some good teams in here and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think at home this year we've got Texas Tech and Houston. That's 2 P4s. On the road we have Arizona, and then they'll be coming back to us next year. We also have 2 P4s and an MTE that we're playing. Yeah. So I think 5 of our 11 non-conference games will be against P4 teams, and then as well as New Mexico State.
How much has that helped you? Like when you put your schedule together, you look at your team and you go into those games like against P4s. Does it I know it depends on your team and their mental makeup too, but as far as getting a lot out of those games, how much does it help you once conference season?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. You got to step up in level, and we played Texas Tech really good over there last year. Mm-hmm. Felt like we let one slip away. Thought we should have won the game. And then we played Gonzaga at home. in a game that was really competitive and we get beat at the end. So I think it really helps. And I think those games, especially, Gonzaga, we played a little later in the non-conference and led right into conference play. And we jump out in conference 5-1 and had big wins at San Diego State, at Colorado State, and I think the non-conference schedule really helped us.
Like you said, you were able to keep your core group together. What would you do if they said we're going to take the Mike Bradbury plan to like slow down like teams picking off players? Because before I let you answer here, I wanted to say like I thought of this, like if I think the older players, like if you develop that player, there should be a penalty if the other school's going to take them because you developed that player.
Right. Yeah, I think the way it'll be a little bit now, and it's still in process, but, the argument was a few years ago that, coaches can leave whenever they want, and players can't. Okay, accurate to some degree, but if I leave, there is a really stiff penalty that I'm paying.
Right.
Okay, so yes, can I leave? Sure. If I'm willing to write a $500,000 check, okay?
Yeah.
So now you put that back on the player. Okay, you want all this money, just like any of us that are on contract.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a penalty. So for them or this and that, I don't know how all that'll work. But,
they are going to do something like that.
There will be that, yes.
See, I think that would be.
And paid this much money.
Yeah.
Well, then there's going to be a buyout in it of some kind.
It needs to be because then it's almost like you're trying to get up on your feet, but you're standing on a mound of butter. If they keep taking your players, it's like you're just slipping and falling back down again.
And you can treat it like that. The difference in college is there's not like a bargaining agreement, things like that. So it's kind of tricky, like – What rules can you put in? Do they have to be, like you have the players union and the league. Right. Okay, well, they always come to an agreement, so there's no argument.
Right.
They've agreed to it.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
So, there's not that in college yet. I'm assuming at some point there would be. Yeah. But you have to have some kind of agreement where both sides agree. Mm-hmm. So then you can have some kind of rules and regulations.
Right.
And once you have that, then, it makes more sense. Right now, it's kind of like the Wild West.
But I wonder if they'll ever go to, like with NIL, things that's not just hard cash right away. Like if they say, okay, well, when you graduate, you get a house or something like that. I wonder if it's going to ever be where outside companies are donating and stuff like that, or a guy who likes to eat lifetime Cinnabons.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure those are things that somebody's thinking about.
That's me being silly, coach. But, because it seemed like there could be some other ways to do it, as opposed to just cash all the time.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems like there could be some, I guess, incentive-based
for the
things.
future.
But not just for basketball. You said you brought up graduating. Uh-huh. Maybe a certain GPA, maybe whatever it is you want to use. Yeah. Those kind of incentives that happen at a later date. I mean, that sounds good to me. Would that be something that a 19-year-old kid's interested in?
No,
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's something me and you are interested in.
Yeah, but it seems like you could also get like. What if with NIL, and I said this to another coach too, what if everybody got the same salary, whether you were a star or you were somebody at the end of the bench, and you were just getting character guys, and if that model could hold, that would make it a lot easier for everybody.
Well, yes, it would. Now you're back to just everybody gets a scholarship. Okay.
But they're getting money on top of it, so it'd be
right. But it's the same money, and now it's everybody doesn't have the same value.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and that's
but this is a character lesson.
Yeah, that went out the window a long time ago.
Come on, coach, you're supposed to be on my side on this one.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that won't work.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
Yeah,
it's just not going to work.
As soon as you say that, they'll be like, okay, well, I'm taking my talents to
correct.
It won't be here.
Right.
Have you ever had somebody just as soon as you talk to him, it's like, Coach, what my money look like?
It's never lower down the list than second.
Wow. So if it's first, is that a turn off? Like, Coach, what's my money situation? And
yeah, a lot of times it is first. I mean, it's just the way it is now. So it's not a turn off for me. I mean, it's coming at some point. Yeah. Well, we might as well start with it, because if we can't be close, then there's no need to waste our time with the other 10 questions. Yeah. So it doesn't bother me.
And I bet that's a lot of pressure on the athlete. If, say, you spend all this NIL money and the athlete comes in and they're just it's a colossal bust, just not even worth putting in the game. I bet that would has that ever happened to you, or
it has, and it will probably happen again. It's just you try to get them all right. Yeah. Well, you don't get them all right, and sometimes it depends on what the market said you had to pay at that particular time. So sometimes a high-paid player that doesn't produce, like maybe as a fan you want them to, okay, well, maybe we still got a deal on that kid because of what the market said at that time. Okay. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, big kids cost more than guards. Yeah. Certain things. So it's not all apples to apples. But, yes, you don't get them all right. But well.
Have you had any athletes that were responding to that pressure, like, oh man, I better do this right. I gotta perform.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to us yet, just because we've just now kind of are getting involved in that. Okay. We haven't been in that game except for the 1 year. So. Okay.
Well, hey, Coach, I really appreciate your time, man. And now that I know you have some grill skills, man, we have to make this happen, man.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Steak, burger. What should I look forward to?
I'm a steak and pork chop guy.
Steak and pork chop. Okay.
Yeah. Big thick ones now.
Chicken?
Yeah, we can do chicken.
All right, man. You got it all covered, huh? Mesquite, hickory?
No. You're talking about wood now. This is straight on the gas grill.
Oh, you go on the gas grill, man? You don't put it on the smoker?
No. I tell you, I'm not that skilled. You're the one that said that. I can get it done. It will be edible. You'll eat it.
All right, man. Hey, this is Coach Mike Bradbury, head coach of the UNM women's basketball team, and he's gonna be cooking on the floor this year. That's what's gonna be happening. The Lobos are gonna be cooking on the floor. We'll see you next time. Fernando Perez behind the controls. I'm Van Tate. See you later.